It's the 22nd of March 2026 regarding this video. Now regarding this video here, looking for particular comment, and I have actually read through all these comments. Okay, so who is this Jamie who used to manage? Yes, it was Vicky Hamilton. Vicky Hamilton was the first to manage Guns N' Roses. I've read through all these comments. I've read actually through 99% of them until about read through all until about 2 a.m. the other morning. Vicky Hamilton was the first manager, and who this Jamie person is so it's Jamie Dudley. Jamie Dudley. For the 22nd of March 2026, and as a disclaimer for this video, I would be considered a die-hard Guns N' Roses fan. Die-hard Guns N' Roses fan. Since 1990. Since 1990. I'll be very quick about this. I'll be very quick about it. Watched GNR. Watched GNR Live at the Ritz, MTV, 1989. Recorded it on VHS. Watched it every day. High school finished. Watched it every. After my high school year. Watched it every day. And then the You Could Be Mine single came out. Listened to that every day until You Lose Me came out. And it was Guns N' Roses, everything Guns N' Roses. I just wanted to say that very quickly. And so for the next on and off for, and in 2015 I decided to, I don't know what it was, I decided to disconnect from that. It wasn't in 2015, it was approximately 4 years ago. I decided to disconnect from that, and I was like, I'm not going to think about Guns N' Roses anymore. Which is actually not really possible. It's not possible. So just decided to disconnect from that, meaning I did not require any more information or news about Guns N' Roses to come my way, which is an impossibility because somehow I still find out, and when I say disconnected from it, Guns N' Roses will always be in my DNA. They will always be in my DNA, even if I don't want them to be. So it's what was I going to say? It was So any news about Guns N' Roses or any news comes my way, I find out about it whether I want to or not. Now, this video which I watched the other day, Tracii Guns and the Tracii Guns upon leaving Guns N' Roses, and how Tracii Guns was, according to George Patience, what was her Jamie someone. Anyway, according to George Patience, Tracii Guns was paid a lot of money to leave Guns N' Roses, and also there was a woman, first name Jamie, can't quite remember her second name, who was in the video, Jamie, who was the first manager of Guns N' Roses, However, it is well known that Vicky Hamilton was the first manager of Guns N' Roses. I've been weighing up these facts. Now, which truth was I trying to? What I've been trying to establish in the last 3 days, from my own point of view, and the information that was conveyed in this video right here, this video, which is on pause, this video right here, and just, I did actually read, which I don't do all the time very often. I actually read through 98% of the comments all the way to the bottom. I wanted to get everyone's perspective, information, and point of view. As I said that he was paid to leave because he had bad acne. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I've weighed up the pieces of information. And when George Patient says Tracii Guns was paid a lot of money to leave Guns N' Roses because he had bad acne. Let's look at that for a moment. Let's weigh that up. He had bad acne. He was paid a lot, and I was like, they really dismiss him for that? Because I'm not surprised by this, but something I found out recently was I think it was just the other day. Duff McKagan had a case of acne too. When you're in your late 20s and your early 20s, you have a bit of acne. I had a bit of acne in my early 20s. It's because you're eating all the wrong foods. I digress greatly. What do I think about that? What do I think about that? I think it's a no. I don't think that you would get dismissed for acne. I think that George Patience is not on the correct track there. I think that his information it's been many, many years. Perhaps he wants a bit of attention. Interesting looking guy, like he's a bit fascinating to look at, this George Patience guy. And he is. Over time, facts can get a bit misconstrued, bit tangled. They can become it's almost ridiculous. Tracii Guns got dismissed because of bad acne. Now, I'm going to tell you what I think. I think that this Jamie girl might have had something to do with some things. Vicky Hamilton was Guns N' Roses' first manager. This is true and correct. I think this is what happened. That Tracii Guns got along quite well with Axl. They got along well. And now, what was it? Duff was already in the band, Izzy was there, Tracii Guns was there. Axl got asked to be in London. No. Axl got asked to be in LA Guns once that previous singer had left. They did a show with London. Axl got upset with aspects of London because they down-tuned all of Tracii Guns' guitars. So this is all new information that I've watched the video 3 times and I read all the comments, so this is just all new information which I've digested. And now, I heard this a while ago, for some reason didn't remember it properly. And then Tracii got on the phone to Izzy and said, will you come back to LA Guns? And then they thought, oh, Hollywood. Then they thought Hollywood Rose, LA Guns. Guns N' Roses, and the very, very aspect that I'm looking at here is how, and this is the most important aspect of all, what did Tracii Guns contribute to Appetite? Because George Patience says there was Don't Cry, there was Anything Goes, there was, he says there was Don't Cry, Anything Goes. I think he mentioned, I think You Could Be Mine was mentioned, and he said a bunch of others. A bunch of others isn't a very good description, a bunch of others. What did Tracii Guns contribute to the formings of Appetite? This is quite important. And I haven't probably heard the first few LA Guns albums, which I intend to go back and discover. I actually heard Leopard Skin last night, which I enjoyed. What did Tracii Guns contribute? Did he contribute a few riffs, perhaps, because he was with them for a while? What was it? A year or something? And Izzy being a main contributor of the formings of Appetite for Destruction, but what did Tracii? It's vague, yet important. I'm going to skip ahead for the moment for my conclusion of things. Did Tracii Guns get paid a lot? Because according to George Patience, one moment. According to George Patience, so according to George Patience, my goodness. So George Patience in this is trying to say that Tracii Guns wrote all of Appetite, which I don't believe, because Appetite was recorded long when Tracii Guns left Guns N' Roses. Appetite wasn't yet recorded, but they did have, I would say they had at least half the album, maybe they had 3/4 of the album, and maybe Tracii Guns contributed to 3 songs. Maybe he helped, maybe he contributed directly with Izzy to 3 of those songs. Now, this is the big deal part, the very big deal part. Duff books the gigs in Seattle, and is going to do the West Coast through Portland and all that. They've booked these gigs, and at this point, that Izzy is not getting along that well now with Axl, because Axl did took some ecstasy with his then girlfriend, and when he came back, Tracii says that Axl's personality was all of a sudden different, and then that they didn't get along. My perspective on things is that over the course of time, Axl's attitude changed in regard of goals and motivation, and that Axl had a vision of the way that he wanted things to be, and I think that Tracii and Axl started to be indifferent and disagreeable in regard of things band orientated. basically started not getting along. And then Duff books those dates and says, we've got dates up north. Appetite hasn't been recorded. Tracii and Axel aren't, they're amicable, not really getting along, and Tracii says, and this George Patience, I think it was George Patience, he says, so you're going up north to do a gig, but you're going in this van, which is probably going to break down. There's no money. There's no money. Because I think in people's minds, people automatically think to a multi-million-dollar band that is Guns N' Roses today. They had no money. They had no record deal. Appetite was half written. And they'd been doing gigs for a while, but Appetite had not come together yet at all. And Stephen and Slash were not yet in the picture. And Tracii is informed, oh, we're going to go up north, we're going to do gigs, we're travelling north in this van, and we've got very little money, and we're going to do, and Tracii, I think Tracii at the time thought, what the heck? So we've got almost no money, but we're going to go up north to these gigs and do these gigs in that van. So I'm going to be in that van a lot of the time with Axel and the rest of you guys, and we have to survive. And I think that Tracii weighed that up in his head. He weighed it up. He contemplated, seriously contemplated, because he's like, okay, well, he and Axel came up with the different perspectives on this, because some people say Izzy came up with the band name, and there's some indication that Tracii Guns and Axel came up with the name of the band, and it was in Tracy's mind. He's like, well, I made up half the name of the band. I made that up. Where's this band going? Well, it's got potential. It's okay. I'm being disagreeable with Axel now. I'm being disagreeable with my singer. They have a certain vision. There's no record deal. We've got no money. Don't want to go up north to these gigs and do these 10 dates in this bus, which is likely to break down. He's thought about that, and he's like, no. He's like, we break down, which the bus did break down. They hitchhiked the rest of the way to Seattle to do the gigs. And when Tracii opted out, and when George Patience opted out, they got Stephen and Slash. If that's the actual timeline when they came into the picture, it's been a long time since I've read this history. Stephen and Slash came in, and then they went to Seattle. They did that gig, and the bus did break down. They did lose their equipment. They had to borrow equipment. They did do that. It was a survival quest, and at that point they give Tracii Guns a big payout to buy the apparent house that he bought on Melrose Avenue at Fairfax. No, because they were broke with no record deal. Appetite hadn't been recorded yet. No, Tracii did not get a big payout. How is that even possible? How is that even possible? Okay, this is a slice in which I, in 2025, I walked along Melrose in Fairfax because my partner was visiting, Michelle was visiting there's a big art store on Melrose, and my partner went in there to look at all. It's a very, very big store, nothing like here in Sydney. It's actually really, really good in there. And so I walked along Melrose, I walked around Fairfax, I walked along Fairfax Highway, Flea went to and Slash went to, and it was fascinating, and past the cinema where Quentin Tarantino's cinema. So I walked along a few of the streets of Fairfax. Really cool, because we got the bus from La Brea, where the silver Hollywood statues, where those four ladies, those statues on the corner of Bray and Hollywood Boulevard. Can't remember what number bus it was. You got the bus from Bray down to Fairfax to Melrose. And if you want to see any more of my videos about my travels and wanderings around Hollywood, refer to my other videos on this channel, and also Midnight Charlie Special Channel Radiance. There's videos on there as well, and shameless promotion. Yes. So I continued walking along the Bray, down, what's that street called? Wilshire. I walked down to near Wilshire. And then I walked back up to Beverly Boulevard. Yes, back to what I was saying. No, this is what happened. Tracii didn't want to get in that van and go up to Seattle with a band who didn't have any money, even though that he probably was making contributions to the band song-wise and was doing very reasonably well with that and about that. But he didn't want to do that tour because they were broke. And it goes around a circle, so he's just like, I'm out, I don't want to do this. And George Patience dropped out. He left as well. And the thing is, Stephen and Slash came into the picture at that point. No, there was no payout. But that's impossible. So this George Patience guy, I think that he is, it's been a very long time. I think he's one of those people that tell a few tall tales that embellish things a bit, that it's also been a very long time, and those people involved, I think they were involved, but to a different extent. That is not, and Tracii is not credited on Appetite at all. Tracii Guns is not credited on Appetite. And if he had contributed to the songwriting on Appetite, they would have included those credits on the album. And when I first watched this video, I was of the impression that maybe, yes, Tracii Guns had contributed largely to Appetite, but when I thought about it more, I thought about it, and I did read a lot of the comments. Actually, I read all the comments I read. I don't do that very often on a video. Maybe I read 10 comments and then just move on. I was reading until 2 a.m. A few nights back, and I think when I saw recording, still recording. They knew those people, but those people were involved differently. I think that what CEO is being stretched, really stretched. And also, Axl didn't always have the identity that he had. What I mean is, he saw another musician at Axl's swagger, the way that he moved in the Appetite days. He got that from somebody else actually. Took him a while to find his groove, but that's a different story. These guys are interesting, yes. These are interesting cats. But is that Tracii Guns there? The Royal Queen tattoo. I'm going to say something that stands out to me a lot, a great deal. Here we go, we get back to this. He's kind of interesting. He looks something about him. If that's George Patience, everything that he's conveyed. I don't think it's the way it happened. It's not the way it happened. Tracii Guns did not get a massive payout because he had apnea and told to be quiet, and then went and bought his house on Melrose Avenue in Fairfax. Definitely not by a band who were not known by anybody, who had no record deal, who barely had a penny to their name, and did have great song ideas, but had no money. So how is a band who has no money and no record deal going to give their guitarist this massive payout to go and buy a house? That doesn't make any sense. He left because he didn't want that bus to break down. He didn't want to do that tour. He just didn't think it was going to work. That's how I see it. That's how I see it. Vicky Hamilton was the first manager of Guns N' Roses, yes, not Jamie. I mean, I wasn't there, I don't know. Jamie's never been spoken about before. Maybe Jamie was there for a month, but Vicky Hamilton was the first manager of Guns N' Roses. Also, if Tracii wrote all of Appetite, and when he left, wouldn't he go away and write a #1 hit album? Like, wouldn't he go away and just the first LA Guns album would have been top of the charts? Surely. I'm not saying that LA Guns aren't good. In fact, I intend to go back and listen to the first LA Guns albums. I haven't heard them properly. I want to now. I'm very interested to do so. I've seen Tracii Guns interviews. He's quite interesting. I think he's quite interesting. I've been watching interviews for Leatherskin. I think he's quite interesting. And maybe want to go and explore the LA Guns catalogue now. And I think it was interesting too that the Juju Hounds didn't sound anything like Guns N' Roses, and I might go back and listen to the Izzy Stradlin and Juju Hounds as well. Yes.